They say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. When you've called everyone on your list, when no prospects answer, when you've lost all hope and it seems like cold calling stops working, there's only one way forward, and it's to call twice as much the next day. It's to double down on activity. I've made 70,000 outbound cold calls, and in today's video, I'm going to share 3 reasons why when cold calls seem to stop working, you double down on activity. The first reason is the law of large numbers. They say sales is a numbers game. What do we mean by that? There are 4 cold call metrics that you can measure your efficiency by and put in perspective how much activity it's actually going to take to reach your pipeline generation target. The first of 4 cold call Moneyball metrics: answer rate, second, set rate, third, show rate, fourth, conversion rate. Of the amount of calls you make, how many prospects answer the phone? That's answer rate. Set rate. Of those live conversations you have on a cold call, how many prospects agree to your meeting? It's another thing for them to agree. It's a whole different thing for them to actually show up. And that's the third Moneyball metric, show rate. Of the prospects that agree to a meeting, how many actually show up to the meeting? And then the fourth and final cold call Moneyball metric is conversion rate. Of the prospects that show up to your meeting, what percentage convert into a qualified opportunity? So you can start to look at the math here and say, if I make 1,000 calls and I got a 6% answer rate, all right, that's 60 live convos. If I got a 15% set rate, that's what? 7, 8 set meetings. If I got a 80, 90% show rate, okay, what? 5, 6 people show up. And if I got a 80, 90% conversion rate, that results in 5 opportunities or so. So put in perspective that on a single day, you make 100 cold calls, no one answers. The next day, you make another 100 cold calls, no one answers. Third day, you're starting to sweat a little bit because happy pipeline, happy life. You don't have the pipeline. No one's answering your calls. You can't set any meetings. You make another 100 cold calls. No one even answers the phone. So you're left scratching your head, demoralized, thinking cold calling doesn't work anymore. But little do you know, with the law of large numbers, over the course of 1,000 calls, your averages, your benchmark metrics of efficiency will average out. So if you're only looking at a small sample size of the amount of calls you've made over 1 or 2 days, it's actually completely irrational to use that limited sample size to dictate your mindset or your willingness to put in more activity. It's all about more top of funnel activity first. That's the first solution. The second is figuring out how to become more efficient. And I have a whole cold calling playlist of dozens of videos teaching you what to say and how to be better at cold calling, how to overcome objections. The second of 3rd reasons why you double down on activity is because you use the rejection as fuel to want to work harder. I made a cold call today to a prospect on their cell phone, and they said point blank, they knew it was me. They had opted out of my emails, but of course, when they do that, you have to call them because how else are you going to contact them? And they don't even know what or why they're not interested. So I got them on the phone and they said, please stop calling me, and then hung up. And that is what it is. And then your final channel at that point is using LinkedIn. But it's not personal. I'm not calling to waste their time. I'm calling because I believe firmly with conviction in the marrow of my bones that my solution will benefit them, their career trajectory, because they will be more successful, they will get promoted, they will make more money as a result of partnering with me, and ultimately their business will be more successful. So it's not personal, and anytime someone is rude to me, which happens daily, I use that as fuel to the fire. And an example of this, if you've ever been camping and you're hiking, you're always hungry, you're always a little uncomfortable, and you're with your friends and they say, oh, if you could have any food in the world right now, what would it be? Chicken fingers. And you start to imagine some ranch and chicken tenders, this would be so good. You will not actually get the chicken tenders. It's not possible in that situation. But the idea, the belief, the faith, and the visualization of, wow, that would be nice right now. I compare that to cold calling because when morale starts to get a little low, you want to start to think in your mind, all right, they just ruined me, body bagged me on the phone. how can I use this to my advantage? Maybe I'm feeling a bit emotionally triggered. Can I utilize that energy to change my mindset and do positive inputs, activity, more calls? So as soon as that happened, it was about 4:14 in the afternoon today. And I was on call 8 or 9 out of 39 that I had queued up in my outreach sequence. And I said, all right, I'm banging out every single one of these calls, even though some of them are Eastern time, and I'm going to be calling them past 5:30 p.m. It was the idea that this rejection will fuel me to make more calls. And that takes us into the third of the final 3 reasons why when cold calls stop working, you double down on activity, is because you are one call away from changing everything. And I'll give you an example of this. This was back in 2021 Q3. I was selling software. I was doing pretty good in regards to hitting my quota, my number. And I kept calling. Even though I'm at my quota, I'm going to keep calling. I set 2 meetings via cold call with 2 big organizations that ended up closing in Q1 of the following year. And those 2 deals were the only reason I hit quota that quarter, because of the activity I put in 6 to 7 months beforehand, because I knew, and I still know, that at any given moment, I'm one call away. Everything can be going wrong throughout the course of the day. Everything. Like, it could be not good. But all of a sudden, you make one call, the right prospect answers at the right time, and they say, as a matter of fact, we just talked about this at our board meeting. I'd love to take a meeting and learn more. And then all of a sudden, that changes the trajectory of not only that week, not only that month, but potentially your year and potentially the rest of your career. You're one call away from changing everything. In today's video, we covered the 3 reasons why when cold calls stop working, you double down on activity. Law of large numbers, keep things in perspective. It takes a lot of work, a lot of top of funnel input activity. It's all about keeping morale high, keeping things in perspective, with the second reason of using rejection as a reason to call more. And the third and final reason, you are one call away. If you enjoyed today's video, share it with another professional salesperson friend of yours. Check out the cold calling playlist, how to cold call on this channel. Happy pipeline, happy life.